Hello, you're watching Telecom TV. I'm Guy Daniels, Director of Content, and I'm delighted to say that joining me on the program today from Houston, Texas, is Tarek Robbiati, who is Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer for Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. Hello, Tarek. Very good to see you, and thanks so much for taking part in our program today. Now, we're going to be talking about how HPE is helping and partnering with telcos. But first of all, what do you see as the most important developments in telecoms right now? What are the mega changes that are going on in the telecoms industry?
Good morning, Guy, and very nice to be here with you today. I'd say there are four main mega trends that we are thinking are affecting the telecom industry. The first one is the difficulty that telcos have in monetizing their network infrastructure. As we all know, ARPU is not going up for consumers. Consumers are not willing to pay more for their network service, whether it's 4G or now 5G. And telcos have therefore the pressure to find new revenue streams to boost their top line. We think this is going to come more from the enterprise B2B space, and in particular with the advent of 5G. So that's the first trend, is how do we monetize the network? The second is a continuation of telecom history, really, and it's about managing the very, very high capital intensity that this industry is characterized by. And that involves driving ever greater levels of efficiency in the network, in what is being purchased, and how the total network cost is comparing between telcos to maintain the ability that telcos have to generate free cash flow. So capital intensity is the second one. The third one is the public cloud. And it's very clear that the telcos have experienced the disintermediation of over-the-top players that came from cloud-based solutions. But also telcos are learning from that process. And they're learning that their networks are becoming much more heterogeneous. The networks are becoming much more distributed than before. And as a result of that, they need to have a handle on managing their infrastructure from the edge to the cloud with a single pane of glass. And I think this is where we can speak more about where HPE can help them with. And finally, the fourth real mega trend that is affecting telcos is, with the advent of more and more computational power at the edge, it is clear that electricity consumption is of great concern, and sustainability is of great concern for the telecom industry. So to sum it up, Guy, I would say monetization and creation of new revenue streams. 2, management of capital intensity. 3, understanding that networks are becoming more distributed and understanding that cloud architectures are there to stay and could benefit telcos. And 4, sustainability.
Thank you, Tarek. 4 very clear and important trends there you've covered for us. Now, in terms of how HPE is helping the telecoms industry capitalize and really get to grips with these changes, what excites you the most about what you are doing at the moment?
There's a lot of things that are exciting us about the telecom space. And the one thing is for sure is this notion of the network becoming more distributed is creating a lot of opportunities for telcos to better understand data and create very different business models. And nowadays, networks have to cater for data that is creating even at the far edge. So think about, for example, a security company that has to deal with video streams that are generated at the far edge that are passed on to the end central point through the telecom network. There's a lot of things that can be processed at the edge intelligently with computational power, looking at the data that is generated by that video stream, discarding the data that is perishable, and really taking the data that is really only important, the data that is about the things that move on that video stream as opposed to the things that are static. So that creates a level of intelligence in the network that is, again, truly remarkable and a quantum change relative to the past. And we feel as HPE that we can help telcos harness the power of all the data that is generated in their environments. The second aspect of our excitement around this is that we do believe that we can assist telcos in their quest to become ever more sustainable. our own solutions have been built with having a very clear sustainability focus in mind. We also have a financial services arm that is capable of taking back old computational infrastructure and recycle it for a second life in different environments, and even recycle up to 96% of the components that are making up that solution. And so that is very helpful to telcos because they could see that they can not only manage their sustainability goals, but also innovate with the latest and greatest, as we can replace the old infrastructure with new, more modern infrastructure.
Well, you've addressed the major challenges that are ongoing within telecoms right now, and you've just talked us through what HPE is doing to help in a couple of areas there. These are very difficult economic times for the whole industry. Telco capex is tight, OPEX still needs to come down. So how can telcos reduce their costs? How can they not only stay in business, but also look at how they can position themselves for a secure future?
This is a wonderful question, and that is very true. The capital intensity in telcos has been off the charts for decades. If you really think at the average capex to sales ratio for telcos, it's about 14%. And it never changes because traffic on telco networks continue to double every 18 months or so. And therefore, there's always the need to continue to add more infrastructure to create more capacity. And therefore, this also comes with OPEX cost to manage that new infrastructure. And telcos have tried everything. They've tried outsourcing, they've tried network sharing, they've tried a number of different measures. I think now is the time to think things completely differently and introduce radical automation end-to-end in networks of the telcos of the world. And there's a new wave that is coming around that, and it has to do with the cloud solutions that exist today that allow telcos to truly manage this infrastructure end-to-end, no matter how distributed the network is. RAN automation will provide a substantial benefit to telcos. And if you really think about beyond RAN automation, all the way from the core, there are plenty of opportunities to automate everything and reduce costs and cater to this new world, which is ever more capital intensive.
And finally, Tarek, let's talk a little bit more about the cloud, because this is one of your 4 mega trends you mentioned at the start of our program. We are seeing this wide-scale transition by enterprises, SMEs and telcos to move workloads to the public cloud. How do you see the role of the hyperscalers here, and what's your assessment of this ongoing transition to the cloud?
This ongoing transition to the cloud has undoubtedly been providing a number of benefits to enterprises and telcos alike. Very clearly, everyone who has looked at this understood that there's a different way to consume IT infrastructure, and that IT infrastructure is can be controlled without truly understanding what it is made of. What matters is that the infrastructure delivers a business outcome. And that is what the cloud has provided. The cloud is an experience, not a destination, as our CEO, Antonio Neri, said 4 years ago. And it's very true. It has fundamentally changed the way people perceive their IT infrastructure for their enterprises and how they use it. But it also comes with some side effects. This migration to the cloud comes with side effects, and people are starting to understand that more and more. And one of the side effects is the loss of control of the data, because the data is in the cloud. And the second side effect is latency issues, because it obviously takes time to push the data to the cloud and get it back. And then also other effects around cost and security. And so what we do see is a new trend that is repatriation of workloads from the public cloud. And this is why we believe that the world is hybrid. It's a world where it's not about being in control of one's infrastructure on-premise versus the cloud, but it's a world where workloads are distributed between the cloud and the on-prem environment to cater to the most latency-critical applications that telcos have to continue to deliver, manage costs, manage security, and making sure that data remains under the control of telcos. So the cloud is there to stay. It's an opportunity for telcos to rethink the way they manage their infrastructure, and we stand ready to help the telcos go through that journey.
That's great to hear. It's such a dynamic industry at the moment. Tarek, we must leave it there for now. Absolutely fascinating talking with you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you for having me, Guy.